Hey there guys, it's Joey for this week's experiencing Inguz or Ing on the Celtic Path, my witchy vlog for the week, and experiencing this rune's energies. So I'll just recap quickly on what I wrote down for meanings of Inguz. Is almost always positive, an important rune, a milestone, a birth, a new job, a new love affair, ending of the old phase of life to give birth to a new, more exciting one. Moon, psyche, well-being, yearning for desire, magic, fertility, energy suddenly released, satisfactory conclusions, emergence from chrysalis, and freeing self from unwanted influences. So I'm going to read through, as always, my experiences from my runny journal and explain to you why the things in shot are in shot. Everything in shot has a meaning and a reason for being there. It's not just thrown together for no reason. So I will elaborate on each of the bits that are there. Moments before the rune pull, I saw the following quote. Don't speak, don't think, don't do, just breathe and let your spirit renew itself. It was sort of the pause before the beginning. And I also saw the quote, sometimes you must hurt in order to know, fall in order to grow, lose in order to gain, because most of life's greatest lessons are learned through pain. I wonder if the pain from last week is the catalyst for the new exciting promises of the energies of this week's rune, or is there more painful experiences to come? Day 1. Perception and reality again then. How we see things, how it makes us feel, the truth behind the curtain. There are many acts of incredible kindness and reaching out from some people, be it through emails, comments, conversations, or gifts. A huge box arrived from Dawn with some insane, amazing gifts in there. Pine cones and pine bark being two of the most prevalent. Prevalent is in they struck me and resonated with me, as well as the most astonishing citrine and ametrine crystals, as well as rocks, sparkly ones, amongst wonderful Halloween bits. So pine, as in the pine cone at the back, air, fire, crow, raven, attracting prosperity, purification, warding off evil. Burning a pine cone in your cauldron to banish incorrect energy and purify your space. Place one in each one of your corners of your home to protect it from malicious spirits. So it actually turned out a little bit later, actually I don't know if I wrote down or not, but so I'll say it here, is that Jude recommended that I engaged in some cauldron work to help purify my space and myself. And when she recommended that to me, it brought back the idea of burning the pine cone. And what I actually did is the amazing Dawn sent me some dandelion oil as well. Now dandelions are primarily for wishing in my experience. That's how I resonate with dandelion energies anyway. So I coated one of the pine cones in that oil and just wished to be released from that negativity. And then I burnt one of the pine cones in my cauldron and it went up. It made the most amazing noises. It just that crackling of, I love fire magic anyway, and it really helped cleanse the space. So pines and pine cones have been prevalent for the cleansing aspect of this week. Citrine is obviously positive, energizer, quite masculine, quite sun energy, helps get the energies flowing again. I often think of it as a Duracell bunny type crystal. It energizes everything around it, not just itself. Ametrine, these two, balancing of male and female, recognizing inner divinity, revealing your hidden warrior. Ametrine teaches the simple, unrelenting connections. There is no life without death, no joy without sadness. You are not safe as long as another is in danger. Duality, two halves of one whole. And I think we're going to touch on that a little bit more later, so I won't embellish any more about that just yet. things behind the curtain has come into in its negative aspect as well. So people's behaviour is often, you know, the truth behind the curtain is that we don't often know what's going on with people, not really, and we often make judgment calls about people. And sometimes some people reach out from behind the curtain in acts of incredible kindness and show us that we are not as alone as we sometimes might feel. But then in the balance of that, sometimes we have people acting behind the curtain in a very deceptive way, offering, you know, false friendships or saying things about us behind our backs. There was a little bit of that at the beginning of the week, and often, you know, that's how it is. Kindness from one area, not so good from another. Balance. Often what we see is only a fraction of what is truly there. As it is on earth in the mundane world with people, so it is with the divine. There is so much unseen, and it brings me back to one of my favourite and earliest quotes that I adored. This is one of the earliest quotes I ever had on my wall as a 12-year-old. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. And as I mused about that, I thought about the balance of that the most beautiful things are felt with the heart, and then sometimes the ugliest things are felt with the heart as well. I love the following quote that I found. It's okay to be a glow stick. Sometimes we need to break before we can shine. And when you truly love someone, friend or lover, you lay your heart open to them. You give them a part of yourself that you give to no one else, and you let them inside a part of you that only they can hurt. You literally hand them a razor with a map of where to cut deepest and most painfully on your heart and soul, and when they do strike, it's crippling, like having your heart carved out. It leaves you naked and exposed. That's a quote from Devil May Cry. I was then watching The Four Queens Guide to Healing, and it really resonated with me. I had been mulling around the idea of healing and doing a video on that, which most people probably have seen by now. And then the rain began to pour heavily outside, but I could still see the beautiful colours of the sunrise, and brought to the quote, God is in the rain, from V is for Vendetta. V is for Vendetta. There was some beautiful imagery within that, because there was the absolutely heavy pouring of the rain, emotions, the realm of sadness and tears and things, but you could still see that sunrise coming through and that beauty shining through in the physical realm when I was feeling all of this. It was incredible. I realised I was still plagued with self-doubt, and sometimes I'm quite critical of myself. Part of me wants to love and trust freely, but has been cut down so many times, and betrayal can be agonising for me. Some people might think of the concept of betrayal as being overly dramatic, but I feel everything so deeply there's not really another word for it. That's how I've always been, though I grew increasingly guarded as I grew up with whom I loved, to the point at one stage in my life when my emotions completely shut down and only came back because I allowed myself to feel angry at my abusive treatment by the last northerner ex. In my lifetime I've been lied to, beaten up, cheated on, abused, beaten, callen names, stolen from, had my emotions, spirit and self broken by others. All I ever wanted was for someone to really love me, for me to be the most important thing in their life in all respects, because I never was growing up. I have black and white ideals of honour, and I expect them from the very few people I wholly love without reserve. My good opinion once lost is gone forever. Very Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. If I can't trust the person, I don't really want them in my life. I try to be more understanding, less unyielding. Everybody's flawed, especially me, and I'm harder on myself often than others. A lot of this is from the video, so I won't go into all of that all over again. I look at the powerful photo I found on Facebook of a robed figure in a grey crossing a bridge over water. The near side is covered in red autumn leaves, the far side a mist and barren island, autumn leaves in goldy brown on the floor, but bare trees hinting at winter. It resonates with me. Oh, crone healing, you hurt. Will I ever be where I need to be happy? And then, within seconds of me saying it, I heard Babe. Oh, my child, I guide you home. You are not alone. Babe. Within seconds. And it was incredible. Sometimes it is necessary for everything to fall apart that your prayers for a new life can be answered. Doreen Virtue. And I wrote the following. Deep beneath the forest sky, here I lie. The twinkling lights above so high, here I lie. In my dreams I leap and fly, here I lie. But with the passing of time I die, here I lie. Joanne Morris. 2013, all rights reserved. Followed by a couple of days later, the following quote from me. We are not following destiny, we are destiny. Joanne Morris, 2013, all rights reserved. I was also seeing the Triskel everywhere. Now, if anyone who doesn't know what Triskel is, there you go, there's a Triskel. Concept of motion, cycles, a progress, a revolution, a moving forward to reach understanding, power of three, triple god, triple goddess, personal growth, human development, spiritual expansion. By honestly documenting my healing and raw dark goddess healing process in my video, I have opened myself up to the process of moving forward. Relatively speaking, this week has been quiet. My healing with the Dark Goddess video brought me back to myself. It brought a lot of energies back into alignment, being very honest, being very truthful, perhaps where they were meant to be. My shadow dark self clearly wanted to sit up and have attention, and so bringing to the forefront that balance must be inward as well as outward. Perhaps it's part of my witchy self to acknowledge and feel everything on a deeper level than a lot of people seem to do. It means I'm very sensitive to others, psychically and empathically, perhaps where my deep need to help others comes from, and my abilities to sense what others are feeling and need, and to talk about, release, or advice they need. And the following is also my quote, Joanne Morris, 2013, all rights reserved. I am wild, I am free, I see more than most see. It's the Morrigan's daughter, part of me. Honour to Mother Morrigan, praise be. So, this rune, for moi, has been very much about the emergence from the chrysalis, the freeing self from the unwanted influence, the coming into the dark half of the year. So for that reason we have the 2 crone oils that I've created and the death shell. The death shell is the strongest stuff I ever make, and it's connected with Babe. It's crone energy, it's a smack in the mouth. Not really, it's just potent. And there are amethysts and ocean jasper for healing. So I said I'd explain everything in the shop, and I have. So it's been very much this week about opening myself up to understanding parts of myself which aren't sparkly clean, and the things that are difficult, things that need to be worked through, looking at where I am, who I thought I was going to be, discarding who I thought I was going to be, allowing myself to be myself and move forward with who I want to be. And that's sort of emergence from chrysalis. It can be one of the most difficult processes to undergo. There's the obvious famous, I don't know if it's famous, actually, I might be completely wrong. Most people should know this, that if you try and help a butterfly out from its chrysalis, it will kill it. And even though it's struggling and it seems like a really difficult thing for the butterfly to come out of its chrysalis by itself, if you try and help it, it will kill it. And that's the same with people as far as I'm concerned. As you emerge from your chrysalis, as you become who you want to be, as you progress further down that path, it is difficult. You have to examine everything, you have to feel everything, and you have to emerge a stronger person for it. I realise that in the things that I desperately need are not always what I realised that they would be. unfortunately, I'd had a lot of programming when I was quite young that I should, you're not a success if you don't do this. You're not a success if you don't bring in money. If you're not earning this, you're not good enough. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of my childhood was like. You were only worth what you were giving. I actually had someone once tell me that my family was more like a business, and it was weird. And it was weird, and it was soul destroying in a way. Like, your worth is only worth what you pay, and unfortunately it still has a bearing on what I am now. And I'm not cut and paste what you're supposed to be in society. I don't have the 9 to 5 job. I don't care about clubbing. I don't go out and spend all my money at the weekend getting hammered. I'm not part of that cycle, and I'm happy not to be part of that cycle. And I have to just embrace that in every part of myself and confirm with myself that I'm alright being who I am, and I have to learn from that and go forward. I have a feeling that although this rune hasn't been pulled for this week, there's going to be something wilder about next week. Something more free, something more primal. If I'm completely wrong, then I'm completely wrong, but it may be the energies that are coming into sharp relief for me next week are definitely going to be more primal. I get that feeling. Because this week has been very much crone, dark goddess crone, and all that death and rebirth and healing and etc. So I get the feeling that next week is going to be more masculine for me. Just having a flick through, seeing if there's anything I need to expand upon any further. So I did mention the duality, and that's something that has come into sharp relief this week again. The balance. There is no life without death. Things die and things are reborn. This is something I've never really been afraid of. Death, whilst it's sad, is not the ultimate scary thing for me. It never has been. While I've always been sad to lose grandparents or anything, I don't even feel that they're truly gone and you carry them with you. To me, it's just very much been about one of the cycles. Sadness, pain and honesty has to come through you to allow you to progress. You have to. I saw another quote and I forgot to write it down, which was sometimes you have to fight the worst days to have the best days. And that, I think, is something about the warrior path. You just have to fight your way through. Someone also said that, this is a really horrible time. And I was like, I don't think it's horrible. I think it's just necessary. It hurts, it's painful, but it's real. I wouldn't want to go through life pretending like everything's la 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 fine and nothing ever happens, and being one of these people who's completely oblivious to growing as a person, because they can embrace the shallow sides of life and go through life la la la, everything's fine, nothing ever matters, myself and I can't be like that and be true to who I am. So it was a relatively quiet week. Like I said, it's a bit like a pause, allowing for sort of absorption, allowing for healing. There was the honesty at the sort of break of the glow stick at the beginning of this week, and then the processing through. I've been a little bit unwell physically as well, which is probably just a reflection of going through some healing and on other levels. But overall, I've come out the end of this week feeling much more positive, and we shall see where we go from there. Many blessings.